Good day to you all. This is Shell's Kitchen chocolate mousse. So in this stainless steel bowl, I have 8 ounces, and that's weight 8 ounces for solids, which is the equivalent of half a pound or about 227 grams of bittersweet chocolate. It's 72% cacao content, and 1/4 cup of strong black coffee. We have that over a pot of simmering water, not boiling. Never over boiling water. You do not want this boiling, or you're going to scorch your chocolate from which there's no return. So this is starting to melt nicely, and we're just going to stir it around occasionally until it's all nice and melted. Okay, so now our chocolate is melted with that espresso, or cold strong coffee, or warm strong coffee. And I've added a tablespoon of regular plain old butter, and we're going to add about a tablespoon or maybe a little more of Grand Marnier. You could also use Cointreau or another orange type liqueur or brandy or anything like that. If you want to change it up a bit and go amaretto, that's fine too, but really chocolate and orange are a classic combination. The dark chocolate and orange, it's beautiful. So we're just going to stir that in until it's totally blended, and we're going to proceed to the egg step. Now we're going to add 3 egg yolks, and these are large egg yolks. In fact, these are extra large because I use them from I use my own hen's eggs, and they lay pretty big eggs. So we're going to stir this in and just let it cool off for a couple of minutes. Now here I've got 3 egg whites, which I've beaten until stiff. So we're going to add a blob or 2 of that to our chocolate mixture. Just a little bit, and we're going to stir that around until it's well incorporated. We've lightened up the chocolate mixture with a little bit of the beaten egg whites. We can add the rest of the egg whites. So I've plopped in all the rest of the egg whites, and now we're going to fold these in gently. We're not going to stir this part in because this is where we get our body. This is very important. So this will require a bit of patience. So we're just going to fold everything onto each other. It's a little difficult to do with one hand while I'm holding the camera. So normally I'd be holding the bowl with the other hand. So we're just literally folding the bottom over onto the top, and you can cut through the middle and fold, and every now and then you got to scrape around the edge and fold over. So this is a gentle process. We don't want to put any pressure on this batter, or concoction, I guess I should say. We just want to be as gentle as we can until we get this all folded together to an even consistency. Okay, so we've got our egg whites all folded in neatly to our mousse, and we are ready to spoon it into dishes. It's not ready to eat at this point. It will set up, I guarantee it. I like to use a variety of serving dishes, unless I'm having a dinner party and I need all uniform sizes, in which case I would use all the same type of serving dish. But in this case, I'm actually doing a dinner for 2, but we will have kids around the house and other family over the weekend, so somebody might want a big dessert-sized serving, somebody might want some with afternoon tea or just as a little snack, and you always want little bits for people who, they want a little bit but not a lot, or kids who like fun little cups. So we'll continue to fill all these up, and we'll tune in later when our mousse has been set. In the meantime, while we're waiting for our mousse to set, we can whip some cream up to top it off with later. I'm going to hand whip my cream, which does make for a beautiful texture compared to cream that's been whipped with egg beaters or stand mixer. If you can do it, you have the time, you have the energy, then definitely I recommend hand whipping it. So I did put my bowl and my whisk into the freezer for about 15 minutes to really chill them up, along with the whipping cream container itself, and that will help it whip faster or easier. The colder it is, the better. And if you get tired along the way of whisking, simply pop your bowl, whisk, and everything into the freezer for a few minutes while you're taking a break. So to stabilize our whipped cream, or whipping cream, whipped, whatever you want to call it, at this point it's whipping cream, I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of cornstarch per cup. I'm also going to sweeten my cream. I'm using icing sugar as opposed to regular sugar. Now, icing sugar is powdered white sugar with cornstarch added to it. So I highly recommend sweetening whipped cream with icing sugar over just plain old sugar. It'll just give that the added degree of stabilization. So I'm going to go a tablespoon per cup when I'm just using it for topping. If you want to go unsweetened, no problem. Just use a level teaspoon of cornstarch per cup to stabilize, because you won't have the extra stabilization effect as you would if you were using the icing sugar. So you can actually put everything in your whipping cream at the start. You don't have to wait till halfway or add it at the end or anything like that. You can add it all right at the start, including any flavoring you'd like, vanilla, for example, or orange zest. Well, I'm going to add orange zest later, right on top of my mousse. So I'm just going to add a little bit of vanilla, only about half a teaspoon. And I'm going to start beating the heck out of this. I'm going to we're just going to go like that. But normally you would hold the bowl on one side and just, you're kind of pulling towards yourself and lifting up with every whisk. I'm right-handed, so of course if you're left-handed, this might work differently. I never whisk away. That just doesn't seem natural. Whisk towards yourself, under and up towards yourself, and over. So I would normally, like I say, hold this bowl steadily and do this. And this will take a few minutes. And the more wires your whisk has, and thinner the wires are, the better. So this isn't the best. I've been keeping my eye out for a little bit thinner wired whisk for doing this, but this does work, no problem. But you wouldn't want to go any thicker or fewer wires than this. Okay, so I beat this for about a minute and I put it in the freezer for about 3 minutes while I took a little break and tidied up my area. Came back and beat it for another good 2.5 minutes, and we have whipped cream. So the reason we put the stabilizer in the whipped cream, in this case we used cornstarch. You can buy whipped cream stabilizer in most grocery stores, but it is expensive. Cornstarch is the cheapest, most affordable way to stabilize your whipped cream. I've heard people use baking soda. I've never tried that. I think that would alter the taste of your whipped cream more, personally. You could also use a little sprinkling of gelatin, but it doesn't hold as long and it's not as effective. So if you don't use any stabilizer at all, what's going to happen after a while, first of all, you'd have to make it and use it right away. If you leave it sit for even a couple of hours, it's going to start dividing the fat from the water content. So your cream will, that's what's called breaking. Your cream will break and start dividing up. And there's no return from that. You can't fix that once it happens. So what happens when you beat cream like that with no stabilizer, it wants to turn into butter. So it's going to start forcing out all the liquid and try to go to butter. So I guess if that ever happens and you haven't sweetened your cream, you know, you could just let it continue to do that. Maybe put it in some cheesecloth and use it as butter. But I've never actually tried that before. This mousse has been chilling for a good couple of hours now. So we are going to dress this up a little bit. I'm going to dollop some whipped cream on there that we made while we were waiting for our mousse to chill. Shave a little bit of that beautiful Belgian dark bittersweet chocolate on, and grate a little orange zest on for some aromatics. I've dressed up my little bowl of mousse, and I'm going to show you the texture of this mousse now when we dig into it. It is beautifully set, it is fluffy, it is light, it holds its shape, and if you remember from earlier, it was quite soft and flowing when we put it in here, but now that it's chilled through, it's all nice and set up. And the smell of this is incredible with that dark chocolate, the Grand Marnier, the orange zest. Oh, it's divine. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, tea, or brandy, or cognac, and enjoy your dessert.